when I click on one of the pictures, look at how the path changes to slash paintings and then slash. What do you guys think this number is actually? What's your guess that this number is?
The picture ID.
Yeah, it's going to be the painting ID or the picture ID. Yep. And then we see the picture got bigger and we have a title and all these details. But also, what don't we see? What don't we see? Compared to the first page.
The other images.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, just from the path changing, we're seeing different components, which we've never had the ability to do before. I don't know if you guys realize, but we've also we've never built a site with like links, right? Like we've never had just simple links because I've avoided them because we need this technology to be able to do that in a reasonable way. So, we click on a link, it changes the path, and it shows a different component and hides the other components. Who has a guess what's going to happen when I click on login? So when I clicked on home, it took me to slash. When I click in login, who has a guess what's going to happen?
Take you to login page.
It's going to take, so what's the path going to be up here?
Slash login.
And then what's the name of my component that's probably going to show up?
Login.
Yeah. So I called my component login, which is just a form basically. And now everything else is hidden, right? Imagine if we didn't have a React router, how much work that would be. Does anyone have a brainstorm of how they would do that? All these different components that you're selectively showing and hiding. Is there an example from Spammer front end of you doing this? Is there a time when you wanted to hide a certain component? This is rhetorical. There is. But do you remember that case?
Didn't we have to manipulate the DOM?
Well, Spammer, we didn't manually manipulate it because we used React.
When you wanted to edit a message.
Yes. So sometimes when you wanted to edit, you had to selectively have that form show up to be able to edit. I think that was the only, I mean, there's other examples. Sometimes you hid and showed buttons, right? Depending on whatever, if you were editing or not, probably. But edit is the big one, I think, is when you showed a component or hid a component. The problem is as our React applications get way bigger, it doesn't become feasible to. So David, how did you show and hide that edit component? What was your strategy there?
I just used another state variable to show, and then just made it conditional.
Yeah. So you did that once, and it was feasible, obviously. But if you had to do that for home, login, register, eventually we're going to be going to different the details of a single painting, right? So if we had to do that already like 5 or 6 times, you would have to create state variables for each of those. And then you'd have to remember what's showing and hiding. I've never actually done it without React Router. I imagine it'd be pretty hard because everybody uses some kind of router, right? So this is the point of React Router, to selectively show and hide components. The other cool thing about this, the fundamental idea of this 2-day project is to get familiar with the React Router, but also there's this cool feature when you click login, you get a dummy user that's just stored in state. But now, does anyone notice how our navbar has changed? What links are hidden? What links showed up? I can do it again too. How did our navbar change?
Login.
Yeah, we hid login and register. We showed this new link to log out, and we show a welcome message. And that's all conditionally rendered in our navbar. So that'll be a fun challenge for the next 2 days. Any questions on Gallery?
Yeah, I've got a question. Is this considered a single page app?
Yeah, everything we built with React is a single page application. So what does a single page application mean, right? People call it SPA, single page application. What is there one of? I see the word single. What's there one of?
One page, and then just components that are reusable.
Well, one page, but what's a page in technical language?
One HTML document.
Yeah, one HTML document. Yep. We actually didn't do this, but you can do multi-page HTML applications. Not React, but just vanilla HTML, which I don't think we ever did, but you can. But everything we build in React is SPA, right? Single page applications. Any other questions on Gallery? All right. So then let's talk about so this is what you're going to build, right? But then in a lecture, probably over the next, I don't know, maybe 6 lectures or so, we're going to build, I know we've been talking about jobs, right? So we're going to build a site called Resume Meet. And here's how I want this site to look. This is going to be our nav bar. So this is kind of our home, Resume Meet. And then, and then what other links do I want? I want a link for projects. I want a link to log in. I want a link to register. And I want a link to log out. So it's going to be a little bit similar to Gallery. So what is the point of Resume Meet? This is going to be the biggest project we build together. So for those who don't have a lot of experience as developers, which I imagine is all of you, right? The main strategy for filling out your resume is putting the projects you've done in this bootcamp and then describing the technologies you've used, describing the project and the technology you used in your resume itself. So for example, I don't know, Spammer, I built a full stack application using React, Express, Node. We have full CRUD capability of creating, reading, update, deleting messages. I even managed to be able to reply to a reply using this recursive technique. You're going to build out a paragraph describing how you built each project. This is a lot of work though, so I want to kind of crowdsource this. So eventually all of you are going to have to do at least one submission for the meet. So describe a project like Milkman or something we built. But then I figure, why not just take our best ones from the class and kind of just use them as a team, right? I realize some people might feel a little strange about this. So if you don't want to participate and other people are using possibly your paragraph, you don't have to. But at the same time, I think, I don't know. I think that would be really useful for all of you guys to share this one task together. So yeah, then that's the idea. So we have all of you contributing to this resume meet, and then you grab the ones you think are the best and you can use them in your resume to describe the skills you've learned, the projects you've built during this course. And that's going to be the bulk of your resume, unless you have some experience, you know. The real interesting part about this is we're going to do user authentication. That's going to be besides for React Router, that's the huge final topic we have. And then that's it. Well, that's not true. We're going to do data structures and algorithms later, but that's like a whole separate idea. Of building full stack applications, these are our last 2 big topics. And then you literally have all the skills I think you need to know to at least have a foundation, right? More than a foundation, honestly. So basically, when you click on, for right now, when a user clicks on like projects, I just want to see the word project show up. And likewise, when they click on login, I want to see login show up. But these will all be different components. So home, projects, login, register, logout. And then eventually you'll see a list of projects. So you'll be able to click on Milkman. And then it'll take you to all of your guys' submissions for Milkman. And you'll be able to click like on the ones you like. And you'll be able to log in and log out. So you'll only be able to like a single time for each submission. So that'll be interesting. It won't be as complicated as our final Reddit project. Because we're not going to upvote, downvote. We're not going to... We might not edit. Because, we probably won't. But it'll be very similar. It'll be useful. Hopefully not too useful. That your final project becomes... like copy paste heavy, but we'll see how it goes. So any questions on what we're going to build together? We won't talk about Reddit probably for 2 days unless the progress is crazy on gallery, and then we'll start tomorrow perhaps. So our objective right now is to build a new React application where we can click on these links and have different components show or hide using React Router. That's what we're trying to do today. Questions before we start coding? It's already almost an hour in. But we have time, 2 days.
This might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but you mentioned that each of the like resume projects, login, register, and logout will each be in its own component.
Yeah.
But will the nav bar also be a component?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll see that right now. Okay. I guess we're ready to rock. Don't cheat. That's the Reddit backend. Whoops. What do I want to do? Okay. Sorry. I already started building this, but let me delete that, right? So I'm going to delete resume meet, and then we want to create a new project called resume meet. How can I create a new project, Zach? A new React front end project.
I am having a blank because we haven't done React for a little while.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make you guys tell me, because I know we're switching back to the front end, right? After what feels like longer than a week, but is it just a week? Is that all we've been doing back end? Wow. We move quick in this course. You want some help?
Yes, please.
Hara, do you remember? How can we create a new React front end?
npm create beat.
Yeah.
Oh, V, of course it is, yeah.
Project name, we said resume meet. Front end, because eventually we'll build the back end. Maybe I'll say lecture, because maybe I'll possibly build my own. Yeah. Okay, React, JavaScript. So let's listen to what they say. CD, resume meet, front end. I'm going to open this in a new VS Code window. I'm going to install all the node modules. Questions while this is going? I'm going to run our development environment. So we have a brand new project. I'm just going to clear out the junk, right? I'm going to clear out this link. I'm going to change the title to be resume meet. The source, I'm going to get rid of app.css. I'm going to get rid of everything in here. My computer is slow today. I'm going to delete all this. I'm going to change the export the way I like it, but it really doesn't matter. I'm going to say the word hi just to see if anything's working. And I'm going to delete all their styling. So that's kind of what I do every time to clear out their junk. But not required. That's just what I do. Okay. So we talked about eventually we want these to selectively show up. But for right now, let's just say I want to make a bunch of components that just say these one words, right? And I want them all to show up right now. Yeah. So I want like the word home, projects, login, register. Log out is going to be a special case. We don't need to build a component for that, but you'll see in a second. So how can I build a new component, a new React component? I'll call home. I want a new React component that just shows the word home. Hara?
I guess you can do the same thing again with the export home, right?
A few more things before the word
Export
home.
default. Sorry. Home.
One more word before home. What data type is home going to be?
Function.
Yeah. Okay. And then I said I just want to return a div with the word home. How do I get this to show up on my actual page? How do I get this?
Pass it to the app.
Yeah. So I can auto import it and get it to show up. Then I'm going to build the same ones for login, register, projects. I think that's it. So login, register, projects. And I'm going to change this to just be login. And this one to be projects. And this one to be register. Oh, I spelled wrong. How do I get the other ones to show up, Jazz?
Just do the left,
angle bracket.
And then, left angle bracket, and then add a login and import.
And then the next one is projects, and we had register, right? Nice. So they're all showing up. That's great. But the whole point was somehow I wanted only home to show up when this is slash. And if this is slash login, I only want login to show up. but these are all showing up. So we have to go ahead and use React Router to have that magic happen, right? So how do we install and use React Router? What are our steps? What do we think here? Any ideas? Opens the class.
npmi React Router DOM.
Yeah, so our first step, npmi React Router DOM. We have to shut down our development server. Okay. What is step number 2? And things get kind of hard at this point. What is step number 2? And I might be a little different than the doc, so another source of confusion possibly. You guys all supposedly built this out already though. So what's another step I need to do?
Import router DOM.
Yeah, we need what's called createBrowserRouter. So we need that. So we're going to need to create something called a router. And then things get crazy here. What argument does this take? What data type does this take?
Callback function, I think.
No, not the first argument, the primary argument. I don't know if eventually it can. Not that I know of.
An array?
Yeah, it's going to be an array of objects. So what does each of these objects take as its property? What is the main property we need in each of these objects?
A path?
We do need a path. Yeah.
Or is it element? Something.
And then path is, when do you want this component to show up? So when do we want the home component to show up?
Backslash.
Yeah, just our forward. Oh, you know what? I'm actually gonna, the first component, I'm actually gonna make app. So when it's slash, I actually want app to show up. And we'll see why in a second. But to do that, I use this other property element and I invoke app. And now instead of directly rendering app, here I can use RouterProvider. And what's the one argument we need for RouterProvider?
Router.
Yeah. So we'll do router equals router. And I know this is kind of awful, but it's just kind of homework that you have to do once and then not again for your app. So now let's rerun this and see what we broke. So we got an error. It's saying that it can't find a route to render for this particular path. Which makes sense. Why? At first, I didn't understand. Why does this make sense? What is the path right now?
Login.
Do we have something that says path login here? No. So if we take away this path and we just do slash, what do we hope? Which component do we hope to show up? Kimberly, if the path is slash, which component do we hope will show up?
The login?
No, actually app. So this is what this path and element mean. When the path is slash, we want app to show up. But app is showing all these components, which we actually don't want it to do. So right now, let's just say app. And then here, we do, when this application is slash login, we want what component to show up, Roman?
Home.
Yeah. So here we need another property, what we call children. And this will be an array too. But now we can define some children for the app path component. And here we can say the path is going to be login. And when it's login, the element we want to show up is our component login. But now you might notice when we did app is showing up, great, but we don't see login. Does anyone know why we don't see login? This is pretty tricky.
It's not being imported in the app.
No, we don't need to. We don't really need to. Well, we need to do something to app, but not involving the word login. Yeah. We have to tell it where we want the children to show up. And does anyone remember the React router specific component we used to say, put the child here? Because the parent could put the child anywhere. When we have more code, that'll make more sense. But right now, yeah. Roman?
Is it route?
What?
Is it route?
No, route would be the old, kind of the older way to do it. We have something called outlet. Or not. Why isn't that showing up? There we go. So I'm going to auto import that. And now just from rendering this component, we have the login. But the cool thing is, well, we haven't wired this up yet, but now if I do /register, I want the register component to show up. So what do I have to add here to get that to happen? Alex, any idea? What can I add so that when I do /register, the register component shows up the same way the login did?
Just do another children.
Yeah, so another child in this array. And what is the path going to be for this one, Alex?
Register.
Yeah. And the element?
Register.
Yep. And now the cool thing is, because we did that outlet once and said any child just put here, it shows register. Now, if I moved outlet here, how will this change, Ronald?
I think it'll be like above.
Yeah, exactly.
App.
So that's why we have this ability to tell React where to put the child, because there's use cases where you want it different places. All right, let me pause there. I know this syntax is awful, and it will take a little bit to get used to, but it is worth it in the end. And this is, you're learning the freshest. Like, this was hard finding on YouTube. I couldn't find a good YouTube tutorial because this is so new, but it is the official docs recommended way to do it now.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, like, because I think like a lot of the other ones previously used the routes and route, right?
Yeah, but now React Router, this is the official way. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Honestly, I liked the older way more, but I'm still getting used to this. Yeah, but anyway. Okay, so for the other ones, we just repeat the pattern, right? So I'll do projects and login. Oh, sorry. And now we can selectively showing hide components based on what the path is. So that's very nice, right? But our objective was to get these links at the top where we click on them and the path changes. So we actually want another component called navbar. And for right now, we'll just get the word navbar to show up. And here I'll put it above and auto import it. So now we have this nav bar, and our objective is to get these links to show up that change the path for us, because we don't want our user to have to type them, right? That'd be annoying. So how can we get some links that say, well, the first one I want to say is actually resume meet. And I want, when you click on that, I want it to take you to just slash. That'll be like home. So how can I do that using React Router?
Could you just start with a href tag?
No. Yeah, we can't use anchor tags.
Link to?
Yeah,
link
we
to?
need a special React component called link. Why didn't that auto import? There we go. So we need a special component called link, and the property that's required, Renata?
2?
Yeah, we need a 2. So tell it where to go. So here we want it to go to slash when we click resume meet. So now when I click this link, what's going to happen to the path? Rodrigo. When I click this link, what's going to happen to this path?
And we go to the slash.
And then what's going to happen to what components are going to show up? If it's just slash, which of these components will show up?
All of them?
No, only the ones that path matches. So only the slash for app. These children need this stuff. So the word app will still be here or disappear? So I click on it. It takes us to slash. The app component is rendered and nothing else is visible because it doesn't match the path.
Hey Max, you have login there twice. Is that a?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it was just bothering me. I wasn't sure if it was a mistake or not.
Just a mistake. Yeah. Any other questions? We basically just need to do the rest of them. So I can just copy this. And then if I want this to take me to projects, what does the path have to be? Victor?
Slash projects.
Yeah. And for this one, we'll do login. And for this one, we'll do register. Login. Register. How can I get my styling more readable? How can I get a little space between those fields?
Can we put a flexbox on the parent div?
Sure. So give this a class of navbar container. And how do I do that, Daniel?
So dot navbar container, curly braces, and then display flex.
Okay.
And then maybe put I can't remember if it's been a while since I've done this. Align content? I can't remember, sorry.
Well, we can align item center. It still looks a little weird. And that does the y-axis. How do we space them out in the x-axis?
Justify content and I think space around or something.
Yeah. Let's do that. Does this look weird or is that like, is there a height difference?
Yeah, it kind of looks a little, I don't know. My eyes are kind of bad right now.
I think there's a weird height difference and I don't know why, but I'm not going to kill ourselves over it. Okay, so now When I click on projects, what is going to happen to my path and which components will show up? Monica, what happens to the path when I click on when I click on projects?
Yeah, it's going to go to /projects.
And then which components will show up and which will hide?
Is it app and projects?
Yeah, so app will show up and projects will show up and login and register.
It will hide.
Yeah. So that's what we see, projects and app. So app is always going to show up. That's not hard because we always have the slash. And that's the basics of React Router. What questions do you have on the fundamentals? So we're basically showing and hiding components because it becomes too hard to do it ourselves. It's weird. We're kind of using the path as like a state now. Like it's almost like a part of state, which is weird to think about. Okay, we feel good with that. We can move on. So let's pretend we have some dummy projects in here. So what do I want to do? Yeah, let's pretend we have some dummy projects in our state. So projects, set projects. This will be an array of objects of our actual projects. So what property does every object get automatically? Daniel?
ID.
Yeah. And what's the name of your favorite project we've done so far?
Spammer.
Okay. And David, what's your favorite project so far?
Oh, Milkman.
I do not believe you that was the favorite, but okay. ID3. And what was your favorite project, Ketzerin? I mean, there's not too many left, but.
Newman, Spammer.
What else did we do? Wikipedia, Number Guesser. Hungry
Emoji?
Pets was kind of fun.
Hungry Pies is good too, yes.
Yeah. All right. So I need to import use state. That's fine. So now, here's what I want to happen. When we click on projects, I want to see, what do I want to see? I want to see our project names. So Spammer, Milkman, Hungry Pets. Yeah. So when I click on projects, I want to see a list of those names. But right now, projects, like if I console.log projects in projects, do I have the projects? Do I have access to them? What do we think?
No, do you have to pass it down into the component as a prop?
Yeah, but here's the thing. How would I do that?
Params ID, params object.
So right here is where I'm rendering it, but this looks weird. This isn't what we're used to. So there's a really cool way to do this in React Router where we can pass things like in a global way to all the descendants. So we can do we can do context. And here we can pass down to all the children whatever we want to pass down. And right now I want to pass down projects. And just by doing this, all the child components of, the app component will have access to the projects. Is that really loud, the drilling outside? Sorry. Okay, good. To me, it's like they're drilling in the room. So now if I go to projects and I console.log projects, it still doesn't work. Projects is not defined. But here, if I destructure projects from use outlet context and import that in, now I can grab the projects. So now we actually have access to the projects here. And now how can I just display a list of those names? This part is review. David, what do you think? How can I show just a list of the names like we want this?
You can map through them.
Yeah. Help me out.
What is that? A parenthesis, and then I don't know, project.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
project's a good name.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a callback function.
Right.
And then what do we want to return?
A div with the name.
Just name?
So project or project dot, I don't know, does it have a name property?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
So why don't we see the name though?
You need curly braces.
Yeah, we just need to tell JSX we want to use JavaScript. And there we go. Was there a question?
I think we need a key as well, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's going to yell at us. So we can do a key equals project.id.
Is the context that's provided, is that basically just React context, but like a custom one for
React
Router DOM?
I think it's a wrapper for the normal React context, but it's a really convenient one. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Maxwell. So would it make sense to put the state in the projects set projects inside our projects component?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm thinking ahead, and I'm thinking that eventually we're going to actually need projects in different components, because that's always the case. So that I want that more globally available. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a great question. Okay, other questions on this. Particularly important is this context. You're going to use that a lot moving forward. It makes things really nice, though. You don't have to prop drill anymore. You can just grab, in any component, you can just grab what you need. It's almost like we have a global variables again. Go ahead, Renata.
I do have a question. If you can maybe explain that outlet again in context, both of them, just one more time, if that's okay.
Explain which one?
The outlet in the context, both of them.
Okay, so without outlet, we're defining children for this path here. And right now we should be seeing projects, but app doesn't know where you want it to show up, that child component. So if we put the key component outlet, the keyword outlet, we now tell it where we want it to show up. Where do you want your child to actually appear? And this will make more sense when there's more lines of code. Right now, it doesn't really make sense, except we could put it above navbar, which we never would, right? Unless that was a footer, maybe. So that's outlet. Context is a way to kind of have globally available state using React Router. That's really convenient, because no longer, there's no real way we can pass. Like if we wanted to pass if we wanted to pass projects, we can't do projects equals projects here. That doesn't mean anything. So we have this new way of passing state and props. The old way hasn't disappeared, and we'll actually use it as well, but this is just another tool we have. So that's outlet and context.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on those? Okay, so now when I click on one of these, just like gallery, what happens to the path in gallery when I click on one of the pictures? What did the path change to? Does anyone remember?
The picture ID.
Yeah, /painting / the ID. So just like that, we want to do that functionality with these. I want it to change to /project / the project ID. So instead of displaying the name here, what can I show, or what can I use to make these into links that the user can click, and it'll change the path?
Link.
Yeah. So we'll auto import link. And then what's the one required property we need for link?
2.
2. And where do we want this to go? Where do we want this to go?
Projects dot.
So we wanted it to go to like the ID somehow, right? Oh, and in here, what do we still want to show up? So the user can see what they're clicking on.
Project.name. Project.name.
Yeah. So now when I click on this, it goes to projects 1, 2, 3, but there's an error because of why? Oh, I lost you guys. Shoot. Oh, there you go. Did anyone shout it out while you were frozen? Why is there an error from 1, 2, 3?
Because it no 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's no project with one. Actually, that's not why yet. There's actually no route for that path. So here we have to make another path. And the path is going to be what?
Project / and ID, I think.
Yeah, but we don't want literally the word ID. We want it basically a placeholder so it's dynamic. So this is actually nice. What did we use in Express to tell Express to do this?
The colon.
Yeah, and here it's the same, which is awesome. So here I'll call this project ID. And now we don't want projects to show up anymore. We want just like a single project. So I have to make a new component. And I'll call this project. And for right now, I will just say the word project. And I don't need a link anymore. And change this to be the word project. And change this to be the singular project. Okay, so now this is nice. When the path matches, that new component is showing up. So if I click on projects, the path changes to 1, 2, 3, and we see the word project. But we don't really want 1, 2, 3. We want what for this value?
Would it be the curly braces project.id?
Yeah, we somehow want the actual project ID, but we have to use our template injection. Like that. So now this is way nicer. When I click on spammer, what will we see in what will the path change to? And there's a hint at the very bottom of Chrome.
/1.
Yeah. And if we click on Hungry Pats, we see project /3. So that's all nice. But our final objective of this lecture is to not see the word project. It's to see the name of the project and the ID. So how can I see the name of the specific project and the ID from this component? So basically when I'm on this path, I want to see the details for project with ID of 3. How can I do that?
Does projects contain all the projects?
It does, yeah.
On line 4.
Isn't it just projects.name, projects.id, and
so what
line
data
8
type
and
is
9?
projects?
Object.
Projects is an array.
Array, sorry.
Yeah, we can take a look again. So we have the array of projects. So projects.name doesn't mean anything. We're so close. We have all the projects.
Do we need a way to pass down like the specific ID of what we clicked on?
How do we get this 3 from the path? We need this 3. How do we get it?
Destructure.
Yeah, we can. Destructure what?
The ID.
Yes, that's also true, but using what? Built-in function from React Router DOM. All right. Use params. Built in from React Router DOM for specifically this purpose, to extract the parameters that we defined over here. So here, if we console.log use params, this is going to be an object with the parameters we defined. So we see an object with project ID 3. So we could do project ID equals use params dot project ID. And if we console.log project ID, we can see the 3, but what we'll always do is destructure because it's just so sexy, right? So now we're in a really good shape. We have all the projects and we have the ID of the project we want. Now, pure JavaScript, how can we find that one object in that array of objects?
Probably set a, like, would we like set a const like found project and then filter it or something by ID? Then like project ID equals
Not project ID. First off, what data type do we have in this argument? What's the data type for filter? Argument.
Callback function.
Callback function. So let's make a little callback function. And then here for filter, we want to return true or false. And what's a good name for the parameter of each item as it iterates through?
Item or project.
Yeah. I'll do underscore project so it doesn't conflict with this project. And then here, if I return true, what will my project look like? This is just JavaScript. I mean, hard JavaScript, but just JavaScript.
An array.
The original array, untouched, not filtered, because everything is evaluating to true. So we have all our objects. But I don't want all our objects. I just want the one that is what?
Project.id.
Project.id
.id
equals
project ID.
Project ID from the parameters. And it's still not going to work. Still more work to do. Why isn't it working? Nothing's easy, right?
And then in the name You put the curly braces and projects dot name.
No, I'm console.logging project here and it's empty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not working. What data type is project.id? What data type?
Be a number.
What data type is this?
I think maybe.
String. So what do we do?
Pass it to a
Parts.
number.
Yeah, we can do number. Now we have an array of one object. But I don't really want an array of one object. I want what?
Object itself.
Yeah, so how can I grab just the first object?
Index it with 0.
Yep. So after all that work, we have access to the project. And now finally, how can we get the project name? Zach, how can we get the project name to show up after all that hard work?
Would you put in curly braces name?
So not working like that.
Project.name?
Yeah. Okay. And project.id. That's fine. I was thinking of changing this to find, but you need to learn. I mean, filter is even more fundamental, so keep that there. It's fine. Okay, so finally, after all that work, when I click on Milkman, what's going to happen to the path? Hara, how's the path going to change?
Slash milkman.
Oh.
With the name or with the project number?
Not exactly slash. Let's go find it again. Where is it? So not exactly slash milkman. No. What is the path going to change to?
The ID.
That's part of the answer, but what is the
Project
whole path going
slash
to be?
ID.
So it's going to be slash project slash ID. Yeah. And then what components are going to show up as a result of that path changing? Which of these components will show up and which will hide when we click on Milkman? And this becomes, I don't know what it, or 2, right? What's going to change? Or which components will show up and which will hide? Jazz.
App is going to remain.
App will remain, correct.
And the others are going to be hidden.
All these will be hidden. And then this one will show up. Yep. There we go. So it takes a little to get used to, but once you do, it's kind of nice. Final questions on that. This was kind of a doozy, huh?
Yeah, Max, could we go back to the project file and why you just put 0? Why did you just put 0 again?
Why did I put 0?
On line 8.
Oh, because filter returns what data type to us? That array method. What does it always return?
Returns.
Filter and map both always return arrays, but we don't want an array. We just want the first object in there, in the array. So let me show it. So if I console.log this without grabbing the first item, this is an array of one object, which I don't really want. I mean, I could do this, but it's just kind of ugly. So I put the bracket 0. Yeah.
You said that there was an alternate way to do it with find, right?
Yeah, yeah, if we just use find here, we don't need the bracket 0 because find will return the first item. So it's a little cleaner. And technically we don't need this. And we can make this a little shorter. That, yeah. I don't know if that's easier, harder to follow. Other questions? All right, let's do